The preacher's pulpit is located at the highest point of Weiming City. Walking north from the square, passing through the east street that was blackened by the fire, and then going up a long stone staircase, you can see the pulpit half suspended in the air. There are no walls around the pulpit. There is only a circle of stone pillars. Each stone pillar is engraved with a story that has been recognized in the Register of Civilizations. Keep watch. Still smiling after the disaster. Mother suffered. The hero overcomes the tribulation. Every story is carved solemnly and beautifully. It's like they were designed to stand high from the beginning and be looked up to by those who came after. Enlightenment players gather below the pulpit. The stone steps emerging behind them are more obvious than other players. Every time you climb a level, you can organize the missions you have experienced, the residents you have saved, the records you have corrected, and the disasters you have endured into a Tao. The instructions given by the system are very tempting. The enlightened person can transform chaotic experiences into a path that can be passed down. The way that has been passed down can provide guidance and bonuses to those who come after. After the enlightenment is completed, the relevant events will be stabilized as civilized experiences. This is exactly what all civilizations do. Organize the pain you have experienced into lessons. Turn personal mistakes into paths for future generations. Turn the disaster of one generation into a warning for the next. This is not wrong in itself. Without inheritance, everyone would fall into the same pit again. The problem is that the preacher's pulpit is not about preserving experience. It wants to stabilize the experience. Once something is proved as the way, those who come after will be guided to follow it. What was originally just one person's path will become someone else's standard. Lin Yao stood under the podium and heard the first player who preached the truth begin to speak. That was a player who was involved in putting out a fire on East Street. He did not choose a companion, but an ordinary person to cross the tribulation. He stood on the pulpit, and the stone steps behind him lit up. I proved that when faced with disaster, someone must stand up and bear the burden first. The system immediately organized his words into text. Tao 1, inherit before disaster. In the face of group disasters, those with the ability to bear them should be given priority to reduce group chaos. Below the podium, some players applauded. This statement sounds reasonable. When disaster strikes, the strong go first. Those who can afford more. But Lin Yao knew that if this path was fixed, it would push the tribulation rider to the altar again. The second preacher takes the stage. She is the keeper. I prove that there is no civilization without records. Even if the records are imperfect, they are better than chaos. System organization. Tao 2, remember first and then practice. Civilization should give priority to establishing records and revise them later. This one is also very reasonable. Record first, then correct. But if the record is difficult to change once it is created, recording first and then revising will become first fixing and then locking. The third person who attains enlightenment is the one who returns the name. I prove that the nameless need to be called. Names can bring people back. System organization. Tao 3, call the person by name. Providing appropriate titles for those who have lost their names can help them return to a civilized position. Again, partially true. Names really do bring people back. But names can also lead people to the wrong place. The terrible thing about the pulpit is that it does not produce a completely false message. It generates a Tao that is half true and half dangerous. The more reasonable it is, the harder it is to refute. Lin Yao did not interrupt immediately. Because inheritance cannot be completely denied. If he only says that he does not want to attain enlightenment, the system will label him as anti-civilization, anti-experience, and anti-inheritance. He must establish another way of enlightenment. It's not about sealing the road. Instead, the road restrictions are also passed down. Xingye stood beside him and looked at the words on the pulpit. Remember it first and then fix it. Actually, I think it's half right. Yes. Lin Yao said, the problem is that it is missing the second half of the sentence. The second half of the sentence? If you can't fix it, don't write it down first. Xingye was stunned. Lin Yao stepped onto the podium. There was an immediate commotion among the players. Lord Obsidian wants to achieve enlightenment? What will he say? Finally going to open a big route? The preacher's pulpit did not reject him. Because he does have too many experiences that can be proven is the path. Territorial defense line. Responsibility book. Temporary name. City defense line. Counterbase. Night watch mode. Each one can become the Tao that civilization desires. System prompts appeared in front of him. High-value enlightenment experience detected. Please choose the way you want to inherit. 1. The way of responsibility register. 2. The way to secure your reputation. 3. The way of city defense. 4. The way of the undecided. Lin Yao looked at the 4 options and made no choice. He spoke. I don't prove a path that everyone can follow. The pulpit shook slightly. I only leave a few warnings. The system prompt flashes. The format of the sermon is abnormal. Lin Yao continued, first, in all records, you must know that you may be wrong. The words from the pulpit emerge, trying to be organized into Tao. Tao, recording requires humility. Lin Yao immediately added, it's not humility, it's retractable, correctable, and gaps can be left. The text is retwisted. Warning 1, do not consider the first recording as final. Second, names can help people, but they can also trap people. Warning 2, the name should not be named earlier than the person is willing to be called so. Third, bearing can accompany someone, or it can steal someone's pain. Warning number 3, you must not take away disasters if you bear them, and heroes must not reap the pain of others. Fourth, experience can be shared, but latecomers cannot be forced to live accordingly. Warning number 4, inheritance shall not cancel the right of latecomers to change their path. Fifth, any story must be retractable. When this sentence fell, the whole pulpit shook tremendously. The story carvings on the stone pillars began to tremble. The system tries to organize it into a nicer sentence. Tao, the story needs to flow. Lin Yao said coldly, not enough. It's a story but it needs to be retractable. The pulpit was silent for a few seconds. Finally, the text emerges in gray. Warning number 5, the story must also be retractable. This is not the golden way. It's not inheritance. It is not a civilization experience bonus. Just a gray warning. But it etched the pulpit. The players were talking a lot. Some people feel disappointed. No bonus? Just a warning? Is this considered a failure of enlightenment? Lin Yao looked at the crowd below the podium. If you need bonuses, choose those paths. If you need a reminder, remember these warnings. An enlightenment player said dissatisfiedly, if there is no forward path, how will the latecomers take it? Lin Yao replied, the latecomers can't just follow the road we paved. Then what's the use of our experience? Let them know where there may be pitfalls. It's not about telling them how to go. These words shook the pulpit again. The system displays a new state. Branch of preachers, those who stay in the police. Those who leave warnings, do not organize personal experience into a standard path, but leave limitations, risks and correctable reminders. Staying alert does not provide inheritance bonus, but but it can reduce the chance of latecomers being bound by a single path. Again, no bonus is provided. But this time, some people have gotten used to it. Xingye smiled from below. Why are there so many things here that don't increase completion, don't give bonuses, and don't improve efficiency? The person under the lamp stood nearby and said, but it's relatively harmless. This sentence made several players laugh. It won't harm anyone. This doesn't seem to be the strongest attribute in the game. But in Weiming City, it is rarer than any bonus. The original path through the pulpit has not disappeared. Carrying it forward before disasters, remembering it first and then repairing it, and calling people by name still exist. But there are gray warnings next to each one. You need to confirm whether the responsibility takes away the disaster from you. Need to confirm whether the record can be repaired. You need to confirm whether you are willing to name it. Golden roads coexist with gray warnings. Civilization does not like this irregularity. But players understand it. This path has bonuses but risks. This path can help, but it cannot be used indiscriminately. This is more effective than a mere ban. Xinhuan said in the communication, the forum data has changed. The main line of the Enlightenment has not been blocked, but a risk warning has been added. When subsequent players choose a path, they will see your warning. That's enough. Lin Yao said. He knew it was impossible to keep everyone from becoming enlightened. People need stories. Civilization requires experience. The game requires routes. What we really want to stop is turning one road into the only way. At this moment, the statue of the Enlightenment opened its eyes. The eyes were not stone, but like some ancient system looking through them. A voice fell from high up. Without Tao, civilization will suffer repeatedly. Lin Yao looked up. There is a way, but the way cannot be closed. The retractable path cannot become the foundation of civilization. The irrevocable way will press people into the foundation. The statue of the Enlightenment is silent. Then, the stone steps behind the pulpit suddenly cracked. A path to higher ground appears. A system prompt appears. The sermon's platform is not stable enough. The foundation of civilization has not yet been established. Open the core area of Weiming City, Mingtai. Invite each narrative character to go to the Fate platform to decide the final civilization positioning of the Fate City. Lin Yao looked at the cracked road and knew that the first section had finally reached the core. Listing, correcting names, overcoming tribulations, and attaining enlightenment are all just prepositions. What Weiming City really wants to do is to give the entire city a final civilized position. This is to complete the naming of this undestined city. Underscore 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 underscore. The road leading to Mingtai is quieter than expected. It has no monsters blocking it. There are no agencies. There is no countdown. There are only long stone steps that extend upward from behind the preacher's pulpit, passing through the gray-white clouds above the Weiming City. With every step you take, a previously completed record appears beneath your feet. Watchman. Zio Gyron. Be prepared for disasters. The name calls the person. All disasters are unified. These words, which have been corrected, warned, and supplemented, still have not disappeared. They are like layers of sediment on the way to the core. Xingye walked behind Lin Yao, looking at the words that kept emerging under his feet, and whispered, even if it is corrected, the original wrong writing is still there. Lin Yao nodded. That's what the record is. Isn't that scary? So leave the correction. An error does not never happen just because it is corrected. But without correction, error can masquerade as truth. The person under the lamp walked on the other side, the empty cloth bag and undelivered fire on his wrist glowing slightly. She asked, "What will the fate platform tell us to choose?" Xinhuan replied from the communication, "Based on the data, it should be the civilization positioning of Weiming City. It is also the settlement direction of the first phase of the entire Chinese-speaking area." What are the directions? The system has not been made public yet, but it may generate candidates based on the completion of the 4 major roles. Those who return names, those who keep records, those who overcome tribulations, and those who attain enlightenment. Whichever one has a higher degree of completion, which civilization Weiming City prefers. If the person who attributes the name is the highest, it may become the city with the correct name. If the register keeper is the highest, it may become a civilized register city. If the person who overcomes the calamity is the highest, it may become a disaster-bearing city. If the enlightened person is the highest, it may become a city of preaching. Either way, it's complete. It's also dangerous. Lin Yao asked, "What about the undecided and the completion of the supplementary branches?" Xinhuan paused. "Not included in the main plot." Xingye sighed. "Sure enough. Those who revise records, those who distinguish names, those who accompany people on a ferry, those who stay in police custody, and those who are undecided all just leave cracks beside the main line. The system did not regard them as civilized directions. Because they don't provide complete positioning. They just keep saying, slow down, be correctable, not too fast, don't do it for others. Civilization positioning doesn't like these words. The platform in front of the platform gradually appeared. It was a circular stone platform hanging over Weiming City. 4 light paths connect from the 4 statues to the center of the stone platform. Each light path represents a narrative character. A large number of players have gathered around the platform. The people from the Grand Guild came. Individual players are also here. Many registered residents, residents with correct names, and residents who were robbed and suffered disasters were also taken to the bottom of the stone platform by the system. The residents of temporary pavilions stood farther away. They were not formally invited. Just follow Lin Yao and others to walk up slowly. Shitzi grabbed his own piece of wood and looked at the fate table nervously. "Can I be here?" Lin Yao said, "Okay." The system immediately prompts. Temporary residents are not included in the voting qualifications of the Mingtai. Shitzi lowered his head. Lin Yao looked at the prompt and his eyes became colder. Just because you're standing here doesn't mean you can be counted. This is a common practice in many systems. You can sit in. Can be witnessed. Can be displayed. But can't decide. For candidate directions appear in the center of the platform. 1. The city that returns its name. Those who are not ordered can be renamed, and those who are out of order can be recalled. Effectiveness, resident status is steadily improved, and naming efficiency is improved. 2. City of 10,000 books. All experiences are included in the register of civilization and will no longer be forgotten by future generations. Effect, the integrity of records is improved, and the inheritance of civilization is accelerated. 3. The city of calamity. The people who overcome the tribulation bear the collective disaster so that the residents of the city can live in peace. Effect, the resurgence of disaster decreases, and the strength of those who overcome the disaster increases. 4. The city of enlightenment. Turn chaotic experience into a road to guide those who come after you no longer get lost. Effect, the inheritance route is opened, and the growth of new players is accelerated. There are clear benefits in every direction. There is no price written in each direction. The players immediately started discussing. Is the named city suitable for NPC management? The city of 10,000 books should open an illustrated book and database. The City of Robbery definitely has a high combat bonus. City of Proof is best for new players. Do you want to watch the guild vote? Large guilds soon began to form alliances. The Fighting Guild supports the City of Doom. The Life and Exploration Guild supports City of 10,000 Books. The Plot Party supports the City of Enlightenment. Players who have returned to the name hope to open the City of Return to the name. All discussions are playful. Very normal. But Lin Yao looked at the residents standing under the platform and knew that this vote would not only determine the gameplay. It will determine how the future city deals with all the incomplete people. Xingye asked, "Isn't there a fifth one?" Qin Wan said, "No." The person under the lamp whispered, "Then what did we do before?" Lin Yao looked towards the center of the round platform. Things that are not included. This is the next step. It's not just about opposing 4 candidates. Instead, let those things that are not included become existences that Mingtai has to see. He walked up to the platform. System prompts. Those who are undecided do not have the right to propose civilized positioning. Please choose to support existing directions. Lin Yao had no choice. He placed the responsibility book in the center of the fate table. Proposal. System rejected. Insufficient permission for proposal. Lin Yao looked back at Xingye. Is there anyone who compiles the register? Xingye stepped forward. There is no right to make proposals for characters that deviate from the main line. Name teller? The gray-on-white pen player came over. There is no right to make proposals for characters that deviate from the main line. A companion? The person under the lamp came. There is no right to make proposals for characters that deviate from the main line. Standing for the police? Several players from the Enlightenment branch stepped forward. There is no right to make proposals for characters that deviate from the main line. Those who deviate from the main line have no right to propose. This sentence puts the whole matter straight. Civilization allows deviants to exist. But deviants are not allowed to determine the direction of civilization. Someone in the player group shouted, "That's right, you don't push the main storyline, why should you propose it?" Another person said, "This is settlement, of course it depends on the degree of completion." Lin Yao did not refute them. He turned and looked at the residents below the stage. Do temporary residents have the right to make proposals? System answer. Residents who have not officially logged in have no right to propose proposals. Where are the residents affected by the disaster? Residents who have not completed the disaster treatment have no right to propose proposals. What about those who have not confirmed the record? Residents who have not completed the record have no right to propose. What about those who don't want to inherit? Residents who have not entered the civilization inheritance have no right to propose proposals. Lin Yao smiled. That smile was cold. So all the people who need to be treated with care by this city most do not have the right to decide this city. The platform was quiet. This statement is more straightforward than any rule. The 4 candidate directions all claim to help the undestined, the disordered, the disaster-stricken, and the lost. But those who are truly undestined, those who are in disorder, those who are in disaster, and those who are lost do not have the right to propose proposals. Xingye whispered, then this is not a civilized positioning, it is a positioning for them. Lin Yao nodded. He wrote in the responsibility book. Positioned persons shall not be excluded from positioning. Those who have not completed the work should still have the right to refuse to be defined. Those who deviate from the main line are not unqualified, but witnesses of risks. The metal box lights up. The platform began to vibrate. The system prompt keeps flashing. Proposal permission conflict. Civilization positioning requires formal roll voting. The participation of non-completers will reduce positioning efficiency. Lin Yao said, if you lower it, lower it. If efficiency requires excluding the targeted person, then the positioning is not credible. The 4 candidate directions in the center of the platform began to become unstable. Light gray light spots appeared on the bodies of the temporarily named residents affected by the disaster, and residents who were not identified by me in the audience. They are not voting rights. More like the right to exist. Qinwan said excitedly, the system is generating participation rights, but it is not complete yet. Lin Yao looked at those light spots. They don't need to come up with a complete plan immediately. Let them have veto power first. Turn another page in the Book of Responsibilities. Those who have not completed it can veto the direction of civilization that involves their own positioning. The light fell. The platform shook violently. Next to the 4 candidate directions, there is an additional gray column. Rejected by the positioner. The player base exploded. What the hell? Can NPC veto? Then how do you get through the main plot? Isn't this a way to make all NPC cards available in the server? Lin Yao didn't look back. He looked at the stone. You don't understand what the whole city is going to become. But if someone wants to turn you into a minor returnee, or bring all temporary names into the city of returnees, you can say no. Shitsi held the wood piece in his hand, his eyes frightened and bright. He asked, what if I say no? Maybe the main line will be slow. Then everyone will be angry. Yes. Then can I still say no? Lin Yao nodded. Okay. Shitsi looked in the 4 directions on the platform. He doesn't understand everything. But he saw it written in the first direction, those who are not destined can have their names rectified. He stepped forward, stretched out his hand, and pressed it on the gray column. Rejected by the positioner, the city of the name. The whole place was quiet. A tentative child vetoes a main plot direction. The bells rang again in the sky of Weiming City. This time, the bells didn't come from the city. And it seemed to be coming from farther outside the city. A system prompt appears. The rules of the life platform have been rewritten. The veto power of the positioned person is generated. The final positioning of Weiming City has been postponed. Warning, the risk of failed character binding in civilized narratives increases. Lin Yao breathed a sigh of relief. Haven't won yet. But the most important step is completed. People positioned by the story have the right to say no for the first time. Underscore 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 underscore. Pebble's objection is like a stone thrown into a deep well. The sound is not loud, but the echo lingers for a long time. The players on the fate table fell into chaos. Someone is angry. Someone is confused. Some people find it ridiculous. Why should a temporary resident oppose the civilized direction of the entire server? But there are also people who are silent. Because Sherzi's hand was still pressed on the gray column, his whole body was shaking. He's not here to grab a reward. Not here to spoil the main plot. He just doesn't want to be named in the city and become someone who must be corrected. This kind of trembling made those players who were ready to curse unable to speak for a while. Tianheng Bai was also in the crowd. He looked at Shitsi with a complicated expression. As a renamer, he originally supported the renaming of the city. The efficiency of rectification of names is improved, and the identity is steadily increased, which is a huge bonus to his route. But he has also seen with his own eyes how the name Shaogueran can make children ask, "Where have I been?" Now that Shitsi said no, it was difficult for him to pretend that it was just an NPC reaction. Mingtai has rearranged the rules. The gray fields next to the 4 candidate directions are expanded one by one. City assigned a name, unnamed, temporary, or misnamed residents are subject to rejection and inspection by the locator. City of 10,000 books, residents involving unconfirmed records, unwillingness to inherit, and supplementary rosters are subject to rejection and inspection by the locator. City that bears disaster, those who involve residents in the disaster and do not agree to deliver the disaster are subject to veto and inspection by the locator. City of enlightenment, those whose personal experience has been pathologized must be subject to rejection and inspection by the positioner. Someone in the player group whispered, "This way every direction may be rejected." Lin Yao said, "Yes." The man frowned, "Then how can we position ourselves? Find a niche where you don't have to decide for them. How can such civilization exist?" Lin Yao looked at the center of the platform. "Then don't rush to become a complete civilization." These words made the platform shake again. The system pops up a warning. If Weiming City does not have a final positioning, it will not be able to complete the first stage of civilization recognition. Uncompleted civilization will not be able to unlock subsequent mainline resources. Players, please carefully consider the interests of the entire server. All benefits. After these 4 words were pressed, many players immediately came back to the system. You can't use all the servers just because of a few NPC cards. It's okay to give them veto power, but there must be an upper limit. This is not done in reality, so the game still needs to vote for NPCs? If we don't complete the civilized recognition, how can we hold subsequent activities? These words are not entirely selfish. Players enter the game to play. They look forward to the opening of the main line, the distribution of rewards, and the unlocking of maps. If all progress is blocked by the positioning party, the game experience will definitely collapse. Atlas captures exactly this. It puts the rejection of the positioned person against the interests of the entire server. Let players naturally feel resentful. Lin Yao knew that he had to come up with a workable plan. You can't just give a veto. Without a follow-up consultation mechanism, a veto can quickly be seen as an obstruction. He looked at Qing Yi, the man under the lamp, the name teller player, and the policeman player. We need a negotiation table. Qing Yi smiled bitterly. The more we do it now, the more it looks like a system. Because civilization inherently requires systems. Lin Yao said, the problem is that systems cannot only serve completion. He wrote the new rules next to his fate table. After being vetoed by the positioner, negotiation will begin and the veto shall not be directly overridden. The goal of negotiation is not to persuade them to accept the positioning, but to adjust the direction of civilization so that it will not be swallowed up by the positioning. If it cannot be adjusted, the direction of the civilization shall not be within its scope. The light fell. A circle of lower round tables appeared next to the fate table. Not a high platform. There are no statues. There are no stone steps. Everyone sits at the same height. System prompts. Negotiation desk generated. Positioned persons, role representatives, and persons who deviate from the main line can participate in the negotiation. The result of the negotiation does not increase the degree of civilization completion, but can eliminate the veto conflict. Again, it doesn't improve the degree of completion. But at least the main plot can continue. Tian Hengbi was the first to walk to the negotiation table. He looked at Shitzi. I support naming the city, but I want to know why you vetoed it. The stone hugged the wood piece tightly. I don't want to be corrected. What if the city of the name does not force you to correct your name, but only protects you from being wrongly named? Shitzi blinked and looked at Lin Yao. Lin Yao didn't answer for him. Shitzi thought for a long time. That's okay. Tian Hengbi was stunned. He originally thought the negotiations would be difficult. But the child's request is actually very simple. Not against all names. Just don't be forced to correct your name. Tian Hengbai looked down at his own pen. The name of the city needs to be changed. He wrote revised versions on the negotiating table. Amendment to the City of Names. It does not focus on recalling the correct name, but focuses on preventing wrong names, strong names, and premature naming. Residents can retain temporary names, borrowed names, and unnamed statuses. System prompts. The effect of the named city will be greatly reduced. The naming efficiency bonus is cancelled. New effect, misname resistance increased. Someone in the player group immediately scolded him. Is this still called the City of Return? Tianhong Pan looked back. It doesn't matter if you scream or not. He looked at the stone. At least I won't give him a name like Xiao Guerun again. Sure, Z whispered, then I will not reject this version. The gray field changes. The veto of the named city is lifted, an amendment needs to be adopted. This was the first successful negotiation. Although the players were dissatisfied, their mood dropped slightly when they saw that the direction was not completely stuck. Then comes the City of 10,000 Books. The green page represents the compiler sitting on the negotiation table. The position person is a woman who does not want to pass on. She was originally registered as Mother in Adversity. It was later added to the roster that she did not want to exist solely as a mother. The City of 10,000 Records wanted to record all of her experiences, so she naturally objected. Players who support City of 10,000 Books said, if you don't record it, future generations will forget your pain. The woman replied, I don't want my pain to be used by future generations. This sentence silenced the entire audience. The player said, but recording can avoid repeating the same mistakes. The woman said, then record what the system did, don't record how I cried. Xingye looked up. This sentence is very accurate. Mechanisms can be documented. It is not necessary to document the original text of the trauma. He wrote the amendment. Amendment to the City of 10,000 Books. Priority is given to recording harmful mechanisms, error processes and system lessons. The original text of personal pain requires my consent and can be obscured, withdrawn, or postponed. System prompts. Record integrity decreased. The preservation of the responsibility mechanism has increased. After reading it, the woman nodded. That's okay. The second veto is lifted. Next is the City of Calamity. The person under the lamp represents the person accompanying the fairy to the stage. The targeted people are a group of disaster-stricken residents. The players who supported the Tribulation City were dissatisfied. If we don't let us bear it, will they continue to be in pain? The person under the lamp said, you can accompany me, but you can't take it away. A disaster-stricken resident whispered, I can give him some. Lin Yao looked at him. Not all. I just can't lift it sometimes, the resident said. This sentence became the core of the revision. Amendment to the city that bears disaster. Disasters can be shared, but cannot be permanently seized. Delivery must be clearly stated, and can be partial, time-limited, or retractable. The bearer cannot obtain ownership of his or her story by bearing the disaster. System prompts. The power bonus of the Tribulation Rider has been reduced. The fairy replacement efficiency has been improved. The disaster clearing effect is cancelled. Many Tribulation players are dissatisfied. But the person under the lamp smiled. If it's not cleared, it's not cleared. Disaster-affected residents lifted their veto. Finally, there is the City of Enlightenment. This is the hardest. Because many residents do not object to others learning from their own experiences. What they object to is being made the only way. Players who support City of Proof said, if every experience cannot be passed on, how can latecomers avoid the pit? The representative of those who stayed in the police responded, you can send a warning, but don't send a standard answer. A resident whose profile is currently unavailable said, you can say that someone has been injured like this. Don't say, injured people should come out like this. The amendment was thus formed. Amendment of the City of Enlightenment. Experience can be transformed into warnings, problems and optional paths, but cannot be transformed into the only right path. I can withdraw my experience as inheritance material. Latecomers have the right to change their path. System prompts. Inheritance bonus decreased. Single path binding rate decreases. The autonomous deviation rate of latecomers increases. All 4 directions are corrected. Candidates reappeared in the center of the platform. It is no longer the original 4 complete civilizations. Rather, they are 4 directions that have been weakened, restricted, and forced to leave gaps. The city that returns its name becomes the city that recognizes its name. The city of 10,000 books becomes the city of repair books. The city that endured calamity became the city that endures together. The City of Enlightenment becomes the city of policemen. Players didn't know what to choose for a while, because all bonuses are reduced. But the risk also goes down. Xinhuan said, they no longer look like the main optimal solution. Lin Yao looked at the fate table. This is like a city. There is no perfect direction. Just a bunch of restrictions holding each other back. The system is waiting for votes. But at this moment, a 5th option suddenly appeared deep in the platform. It was not written by Lin Yao. It is not negotiated by the players. It's like being squeezed out by the first 4 amendments. 5. Undecided city. This city is not recognized as a single civilization. Reservation of name recognition, registration revision, co-transfer, police retention and undecided status shall be kept concurrently. Effect, no major bonus. No civilization completion reward. Turn on long-term vigil mode. Warning, this option will prevent the main plot of the first phase of the undead city from being fully settled. The whole place was dead silent. The undecided city. No major bonuses. No full settlement. Long-term vigil mode. This is the option that least resembles a game reward. But it is the direction closest to what Lin Yao wants. Not without a name. But there is no rush to be completed by a name. Underscore 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 underscore.